Hi, this is Matt from MakerspaceforKIDS.com, and today we're going to make Snowflake string art. And for this build, we're going to start with a piece of wood. Today I'm going to use about a 1 by 1 foot sheet of maple veneered plywood. You can use any kind of wood you want. This is just what we're using today. The other things that you need for this are some paint. We're going to use acrylic paint, a container to mix it in, and a bit of water. We're going to water that down. Other things are the 3/4 inch nails, finishing nails that we're going to nail into the board, and the string or yarn that we're going to use to make the actual snowflake shape. And of course, we're also going to use a pattern. For this age of kid, these boys are 4 and 6, we're going to be using a connect the dots pattern to help them work through this. Last two things that we're going to need to finish prepping the wood: a little bit of sandpaper and a cloth. So now let's get on to the first step, which is going to be painting the board. So the first thing we did before we started preparing the plywood, before we painted the plywood, is we have to prepare it. So we're taking the fine sandpaper, we lightly sanded it, and then wipe that away with a lint-free cloth to make sure there's no lint on it. So it's been sanded, it's ready to get painted. For painting it, you can use any kind of stain or paint you want. Since we're working with kids, I don't want to use one of the paints or stains with a lot of chemicals. I'm just going to use acrylic paint. This one is a pretty simple one. I'm using a brown acrylic paint. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of the paint. So I'm going to mix it about 2 to 1. And just finish this up. So this is just acrylic paint from a craft store or the dollar store, and 1 tablespoon of water. I'm just going to quickly mix this up. Now, by using the acrylic paint, we end up with it's going to be more of a stain rather than a heavy coating paint. So I'm just going to mix it up so it's a nice even consistency. The kids have theirs mixed up, and we're just going to paint the front face of the board, and we've got them oriented with the grain running back and forth, so we're going to paint front to back. Okay guys, so let's get painting. So just do nice, even, gentle strokes back and forth. So after we paint this, we're only going to let it sit for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to wipe away the excess material. We don't want to really slop it on too heavily. I do recommend for younger kids that you do get smocks or coveralls, which I should probably be wearing because I don't paint much neater than they do. So let's get this on. So you do want to make sure you cover it all relatively evenly. So this is a very nice craft for people to work together on. You can see the kids are enjoying it.
Yep, I am. And me.
Yeah, you like painting?
I do like painting. If your kids like painting, you could let your kids do all the painting, but
so would you like some help, or do you have it up all to yourself?
And if you and your kids both like painting, just do this like us. And paint like us and finish it.
Make sure you paint like us, because we have good painting skills.
And you can see both of them are painting from the top of the board all the way to the bottom in nice even strokes. Whoa.
Until you do that, because I moved the board a lot.
So when you do go to paint the edges, all you have to do is prop the piece of wood up on some little stands of some sort. In this case, I'm just using a bit of scrap wood. So we're just
Scrap wood is always good. You know what they say. Scrap wood is good if you need it.
So once you're done painting, you just have to wait 2 minutes for it to dry, and then we'll go and we'll take cloths and wipe away the excess material, the excess paint. Very nice.
if
top
you
corner.
enjoy.
I'm not hello dad anyone with.
Oh, don't, not back and forth, just front and back. So now we're going to wait our 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, we'll come back and we'll get these wiped off. Okay, back. It's been about 2 minutes since I finished painting mine. I'm just going to go nice and gently with a clean cloth. Just going to go wipe off the excess material to give it a nice even stain. So if it's not quite dark enough for you, just go back and put another coat on. But you do want to wipe it off in between. You can see that the watered down acrylic really gives it a nice color and still lets you see the wood grain. If you want to change it up a little bit, you can always use a brighter color. You don't have to use brown. So you could use oranges or greens or even do patterns. But you really want to make sure you don't overdo it. So there we go. So this one is done. Does that look nice? Now it's time to do yours. So again, yep. So spread it out, and we'll wipe it. Do you want me to wipe the far end, and you'll wipe the close end? So I'm going to help. I'm going to wipe the far end for Adam.
So I wipe this in?
Yep. You wipe. No. You wipe the top. We're wiping the paint off the top because that's where you painted. Very good. Okay. So once your cloth gets a little bit too saturated, stop. Switch to a new dry cloth. Oh, look at that!
It looks.
What a nice pattern, eh?
Yeah.
You can see the wood through there.
I'm not
And
going to give up
if you
on
like
this,
this
and
video,
I think in some spots, I won't need one paint in some
Okay.
spots.
Now, it's been about 2 minutes for Clark, so let's finish yours off, okay? We'll work together on this.
I'll do mine.
I'm just going to help a little bit because you have a lot of paint on here. Get another cloth. It's always good to have extra cloths around.
I think I want to do it one time on the painting because I didn't really get the.
Yeah, it's not quite as.
It's not dark enough.
Not dark enough? Okay.
For me,
So
I'd say.
I like mine like this. I might do a little bit more paint. Clark's got a really nice pattern here. So, like I said, if you want it darker, add that second coat, wait another 2 minutes, wipe it off. And then once you're done and it's the color that you want, wipe it off and let it dry completely before you move on to the next step. So the surface still is a little bit damp, although it is dry enough to wipe off. The other thing is, once you've wiped off the top, you'll want to go around to do the edges. So you can do the edges there, and I'll do that on the next stage. So, I guess Clark's going to do a second coat, and you're going to do a second coat, Adam? So we might do some more coats, and we'll see you when we're ready to do the next stage. Okay, with the second half of this project. So we've painted the board, it's dry, it's been wiped off, so this is the color we're going to go with. So from here to do the string art, Snowflake, I'm going to put a pattern down. Now I did do a connect the dots pattern here with the kids. And what I also did for some of them is we actually colored around it so they could go and they could trace it. Very good, a lot of learning to go on there. For myself, I'm just going to go and fire the nails in. So when you do the nails, you can do it end to end, which is a little bit easier. So I'm right-handed, so I'm just going to work it. I'm actually going to work it left-right because I'm going to hold with my left hand. One of the tricks that I use is I took a little bit of foam, so that pink or blue foam at Home Depot. I take a little bit of a strip of it. Now you could use pliers to have the kids hold it, but this works really well. What I do is I put the nail partway through, or I cut a slot and put it partway through to hold it in position so that they don't hit their fingers when they're hammering. It also has a nice factor that you hammer it flush and then they're all at the same height, so you get a nice even look along the board. I'm not actually going to do it that way, but it is an option. So here I am. I'm just going to go and tack in all these nails. Okay. So that's all nailed into place. So now all I'm going to do is lift off my pattern. Now, for the kids, I left it in as a connect the dots so that they know where to put the strings, because there are quite a few nails here to keep track of. But it's easier to pull off the paper beforehand. So there we go, and you can see the pattern is there, nicely put onto the paper. So from here, I'm just going to apply the string. So I will trim this at the end. Just tie this little knot here. And what I do is, so at the beginning and ends, I'm just going to go and I'll put a little bit of glue on there to hold it. But all you do is, I'm going to go outside. So do all your wraps rather consistently. So if you want, you can do them all out, or I'm going to do mine all out for this one. Now, if you do them all, you can all do them all on the inside, and you wrap the other way. You can see how the pattern looks a little bit different there. So make sure you do them consistently. So wrap them all the way around the pin, or not around, or one way, or wrap them around the other way. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so there I've done my outline of the snowflake. Now I'm just going to go and tie it off. So I'm going to do a quick little tie here, and then it's actually going to get held on by the glue. So I'm going to go and put a little dab of glue in there to hold it in place, and then I'm going to trim it off, and then I'm basically done. So this is the basic shape. You can do any shape you want, and like I said, there's a lot of room for variations. You can get different patterns, you can do inside, you can do outside. For younger kids, I'm going to list a bunch of variations on the blog, but there's innumerable variations. If you want to make this more complex, what you can do, and I'm just going to quickly show you, is you don't have to go just on the outlines. You could actually do this pattern and do it backwards. You could crisscross, you could fill. You could do this with a different color of thread. So you could use some embroidery thread, or you could use some dyed thread. But there's nothing stopping you from going and doing a second layer of zigzags through it. You know, I'm just going to go and do that really quickly here. Let's see. I'm going to go really quickly here, and then give you a bit of a, you know what, I'm going to do it on the inside. So you can do any kind of pattern you can imagine here. And you know, you can crisscross it, you can make the diamond shape. I think there's you can see there's a huge amount of options here. And you can really get into something quite intricate. So do try to go all the way around the board, but you can see you can get a lot of different layers here. You can get patterns, and I'm sure when the kids get into it that they're going to see a lot of different variations and a lot of flexibility in what you can do with a simple one. So I do recommend starting out with a simple pattern, layer on the complexity, add in those other colors, use some glitter thread. For even more advanced usages, you can go and you can put lights in it. So I would just drill holes in the back and illuminate it. So older kids might like that as well, to get some electronics in there. So If you like this video and you found it useful, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to post a lot of different ideas for things that kids can make. And check out the blog. I'm going to post a lot more detail and a lot more variations in how to scale this to be appropriate for different ages, different skill levels, and different interests there. As well, if you have your own ideas you'd like to share or your own copies of this, go ahead, submit those, and I'll put those up for you, and we can share what people are making. That's all for now. So, it's goodbye from Matt at MakerspaceforKIDS.com.